So I've been thinking about the way I have handled the way I'm quitting the job. For context, I have been a software engineer for 9 years now, and I have resigned almost 2 months ago. And in Germany, the notice period is 3 months typically, which is very long in my opinion. I have colleagues who are based in Spain and the law says it's 15 days maximum, whereas in Germany it's 6 times that. And it pains me to have to go through these 3 months. I don't want to, which is why I have been making a ruckus, basically telling them that, look, we need to come to a win-win situation. Me staying longer when I'm not motivated to work here anymore is not a good situation for you, neither is it for me. So let's come to a compromise. And it's true, because on a day-to-day basis now, while I'm still obligated to stay in this company with zero motivation to work on the stuff that I'm supposed to be working on, I really drag my feet to work. And when you do that, you don't bring your best self. Your productivity is not very high. I can pretend to be a professional, which is what everyone expects of you, and pull through and get the thing done. But I know since I am not going to be given extra responsibilities now, since I'm leaving soon, and I look at the stuff that is already on my plate, I believe I can do that in less than 3 months. So what do? Should I just bide out my time and earn that money while sort of wasting away my life when I am currently super motivated to work on my own projects? No, right? That doesn't make sense to me. So it doesn't sit well with me that I have to go through these 3 months. With this company, thankfully, they also mentioned trying to come to a compromise early on, but it took a long time for me to get them to give me a date that I will work towards. So my last day will be June 20th, which at time of recording is about 2.5 weeks away. My original last day would have had to be 31st of July. Wait, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, July has 31 days. It would have been the last day of July. So I'm glad that I managed to save myself 1 month and 10 days of working extra at this company to bite out the 3 months. But the way I went about doing this is unconventional and perhaps a little bit hard ass, like I said earlier. A colleague was asking me, so have you accepted your fate? And I was like, what's my fate? And he says, well, having to bite out your time to 3 months, which is end of July. I haven't told him that I managed to get a shorter notice period, but I tell him, right, I think I have an obligation to tell the individuals that I work with the truth. I don't want to sugarcoat anything, and the first thing I did when I sent in my resignation was that the next week I started telling the people that I work a bit closely with that I'm basically leaving. I prioritized telling these individuals and put their needs ahead of the company's needs. The company would prefer that I shut my mouth, not tell individuals, so that they can think of how to present this information that someone is leaving, someone who is a senior engineer in a small team is leaving. Most people have told me that I really should have just listened to the company and not tell everyone. I didn't tell everyone, just to be sure, just to be clear, right? I told the individuals that I work closely with because I felt like there's an obligation that they should know that I'm about to leave. Because when I leave, what happens to the work that I was supposed to be doing? It gets distributed to the people who are still in the company. And I wanted them to know about this. I didn't want to be quietly just knowing that I was going to leave the company and not tell these people until, let's say, 1 or 2 weeks before I'm supposed to leave. If I do that, then they have no time to react, no time to prepare their lives in order to prepare for a crunch time ahead, or even, let's say, decide to move on to another company, knowing that, let's pretend that this company does not hire backfills typically. They would know that the same pattern is probably going to repeat. Someone leaves, there's no backfill, which means the workload gets spilled over. In that case, I want individuals to know. I want more power to the individual, not more power to the company. So there's that sore point, and I don't regret it. When I had a conversation with the co-founder, she also mentioned to me straight in the face over a video call that she wished that I gave them more time and not tell people first. And I told her I disagree. I understand your point of view, but I also have my own point of view, and I think they are both valid. She didn't want to listen to it, so that's fine. I understand. She's trying to run a business, and I'm trying to be done with working for this mistress. So back to the point of how I quit. So being a hard ass, I have been basically telling my manager that, look, my motivation is zero. I can increase the motivation, but the only way I can see myself being more motivated is if we compress the timeline so that I don't have to stay in this company for longer than I need to finish the remaining work that I have. So we came to a compromise in the end. But I started also not showing up for stand-up with my team, which is not very nice of me, but I only did that because I was not getting a date to work towards yet. I really wanted to push them to give me a date, because what happens typically, at least in my mind, what's likely to happen if I don't push them is that they will drag it out, and with basically no concern for my well-being, I don't expect them to take care of me. Companies don't take care of their employees nowadays, which is unfortunate. If I was starting a company and I had to hire people, I definitely would be treating them as people, not employees, not just cogs in a machine. Maybe it's easier said than done, I don't know, but knowing myself, I don't think I will live well with myself, and it doesn't sit well with me that I would just treat people as resources, which is how companies will treat people. This is the part that I think made me realize that I had some mini trauma from my previous layoff. I was working for a big tech company for a bit over 1 year, and all of a sudden on a Friday at roughly 10 or 11 a.m. I received an email that says basically I'm not needed anymore, I'm being laid off. By 1 to 2 p.m. all my access has been cut. So between the time of 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. I had this awkward online call with all my colleagues who are also laid off, some people who are not. Everyone just being in this somber mood and just like reacting to the reality that some of us no longer have a job. I have a trauma from that, I think. 2 reasons. One, I was living in Germany at the time, I still am now, and I don't have my permanent residency. So my visa status was dependent on having employment. So knowing that I was laid off, I went straight to work to find a job. Because without a job in 3 months' time, I would be kicked out of the country. I didn't want that, I wanted to stay in Germany. So that was very stressful. And the second reason was just the way it was handled was just inhumane in a way, right? Not inhumane in the sense that they did super unethical things, but inhumane in the sense that it was not considering us as humans. It was not taking care of us as people. So the way it was all done in a couple of hours, everything was hushed up to that very moment. And I remember clearly that just a few weeks ago, the president of Shopify was telling someone in an interview that there will be no layoffs coming again. And that's obviously not true because we got laid off. So the trauma that I have now is that companies are not there to look after you. Companies are there to look after their stakeholders. Employees are just resources, cogs in a machine to make money for stakeholders. Okay, that's very clear. And it's okay, I'm fine with this. But when you know this, you can't pretend that there's any loyalty at all to speak of when working for a company. And that trauma has come back and manifested in this way, this time, where I'm quitting. And I did it in a hard-ass way, right? Like, I'm making demands, I want to be leaving earlier than my notice period says in my contract. Of course, if they made me stay, I would stay, and I wouldn't be rogue in a sense like sabotaging anything. I would not be doing that. That's against my own principles. But I would not be doing a lot of work. As I was negotiating the end date with my manager, I really wanted something much earlier, like early June. But he says, no, I think we need more time. We need to have time for people to give feedback on the things that you're doing, the product requirement documents that you're writing, and so on. So let's put it at 20th June. I told him, if you put it at, let's say, 4th June or something along those lines, right, cutting it down by 2 weeks, I would get the same amount of work done in that time. But if you insist that you want to have some buffer, I'll let you have it, because in the end it's a negotiation. I don't have leverage to say, yeah, I need to leave by 4th of June. So I accepted it, but I did tell him this. Parkinson's law is real. Parkinson's law says that work expands to fill the amount of time you allocate to it, right? If you think about it, I truly believe I could finish all the work by June 4th, but because I know that the deadline now is June 20th, I'm not going to work that hard. I'm going to use that time to my benefit and spread out the work. So in the end, I propose something that is a win-win situation. We'll work very hard during that time, get things to a good state, leave. But they prefer that, no, I would pay you a little bit more, you don't work so hard, get things done. I don't know. Unless they have unrealistic expectations that I will work just as hard until June 20th, which in my mind doesn't make any sense. It just defies the understanding of human psychology. So yeah, I have broken a few rules in the way that you are supposed to conduct yourself as a professional while quitting in this job this time. I chalk it up mostly to a bit of trauma of having been laid off and the way it was dealt with. I am very, very excited about the future now that I am kind of unshackled from the bondage of employment. I do see it that way. I do not like that I'm becoming a bit cynical about employment. That's something that I will have to deal with over time. I don't have a remedy right now. I spoke to my manager who has been laid off as well, so he knows what I'm talking about. But he has found a way to choose not to become that cynical person. But I have not found a way to do it. I just have disdain for companies and believe that none of them has anyone's interest, humans' interests at heart. It's a machine meant to provide value in a very vague sense and doesn't put much value in the well-being of employees. So hopefully I can overcome that in the future, but I did want to get these thoughts down, the way I handled it down in a video like this, so that I can reflect upon it in the future. I know that as I'm embarking on my own entrepreneurship journey now, building out YouTube channels, this one and another one, plus trying to build software applications that would be the basis of businesses, that I would forget what it was like to be employed. I'm really hoping that this will be the last time I will be employed by a company, because I don't like to be in that position, as you are now well aware. But I think it will be very instructive for me to come back to this video in the future when, if I need to hire people in my own team to build out my business, to know what it's like to be an employee, to remember at least the inkling and the depth and the complexity that comes with each human being who ends up being an employee at your company. Yeah, I think that's all I got for this. I know for sure some people will disagree with the way I handled it. I know that some bridges might have been burned in the process of this, but honestly, I don't care. The world has many billions of people. I don't know, 7 billion now. We can move on and make new friends, new relationships, form relationships with people that share the same values as you. That's how I feel about it. And if a few bridges are burned, go find new bridges. As long as you don't go against your own principles, I think it's fine. And yeah, okay. That's all I got. So thanks for listening. I'll catch you in the next video.